Welcome to the place where we highlight the talented, interesting, and entertaining from the area. Great sponsors on board. Yes, they still are, and we're so happy to have them, of course. Empire Ford, Novo Mundo, Lair Realty Partners, Duso and Zader, Aaron Pools and Spas, Kilburn Mills Event Center, and Bay Coast Mortgage. Tonight, big show, big show. Real interesting one tonight. Waiting in the wings, a man who claims he was abducted by UFO aliens. Can you believe that, Mr. Jim Andre Chops? Yeah. And, of course, we can't go forward without the sidekick of the century, Mr. Chops.
The sidekick of the
century. All right, Chops, I know you're really interested in this topic. This is going to be a good one.
Oh, really?
We always say every week it's a big one, but I think we really onto something tonight, you know?
Oh, this is huge.
Yeah, so feel free to the audience, feel free to share. Hit that like button. We like to see that little heart go by, you know, the little like button that helps us out, makes us feel good. We definitely need it. Positive comments and questions for our terrific guests to help us out. And by the way, let us know where you're watching from. We really like to know where you're watching from, and people chime in from all around the world. We've had people in Florida and California and, you know, out on the Caribbean islands, everywhere. So let us know where you're watching from. Okay, Chops, before we get to our guest, a light look at the news. You ready for the news?
Oh, yeah, I'm ready for it.
Well, you know, unfortunately, and I say this truthfully, unfortunately, we're still dealing with COVID-19, you know, and of course, our thoughts and prayers to everyone dealing with that. But I did want to say something, you know, I don't think people are using the masks correctly. You know, I mean, I see people walking around and they're doing like one of these, you know, walking around like this with them. Ever notice that? In fact, I heard a guy say that's like wearing a condom on your nuts. You know, it's just not going to work. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man.
All right.
That's crazy, man.
It's just not going to work. It's not going to work.
Oh, no.
Well, let's get some good news in here. How about some good news? You know, area public pools have reopened in Fall River and Freetown. I think that's good. I think that's good. Going for a nice swim there in the summertime. I think it's definitely safer than going to the beach. You know, like in the pools, you don't have to worry about seaweed. You don't have to worry about
That's
sharks.
right.
You don't have to worry about crabs. Well. Oh, I'm sorry. Is Jim still there? That's okay. This guest is not Xing out, so I'm not worried about it. This guest is right down there with us. We're fine. Okay, a California man is seeking to raise money for an animal shelter so he can marry a cat. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing. Now, I've heard of being desperate for. Never mind. Let's go on to the next. Hey, remember? You know what the first dance is? Remember that song, Tom Jones? What's new, Pussycat? Whoa! All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the four-legged ones are too furry for me.
Oh boy! Thanks for the help. By the way, one last news item here. As I told you last week, Chops. I told you this last week. An adult entertainment club in Providence is now allowed to have performers outside. We talked about that. Well, because of social distancing, the guests will have to make paper airplanes out of $1 bills. So I got a couple right here. Look at this. I got a paper airplane. I've heard of reopening. I've heard of reopening, but this is ridiculous. All right, another.
Man, you crazy, man.
Took a week to write that. You can throw that right in the garbage. All right, well, thank you for watching tonight. People are saying hello, Chops. Hey, Paul. Let's see.
Hey.
Where are we watching from here? Fall River. Somebody said, "Hey, are you in charge of that page?" I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know. I'm not sure what that means. They're asking me if I run it so they can throw me out, but that's okay. Well, anyway, let's get on to our guest here. Here's a gentleman who claims to have been abducted by aliens, a former New Bedford resident, and also a former Massachusetts constable, Mr. Jim Andre. Good evening, Jim. How are you tonight?
I'm doing very well. I kind of miss the old stomping grounds down there.
Is that right? Well, you live in Florida, and so many people live in Florida, and they move down there. I mean, right now our weather's great, but in the wintertime, those winters go on forever. So what do you think about, getting out of here in the wintertime?
Oh, it's wonderful. The weather down here is beautiful.
Yeah.
Especially
All right.
in the
So,
winter.
people I'm sure are tuning in. I actually have interviewed you before, and
Right.
people are probably thinking, this guy, he claims he was abducted by aliens. I mean, this is really a story that a lot of people probably say, wait a minute, what's the story? What's the story with this guy? Is this guy legit or what? But seriously, I've known you for a long time. It is hard to believe. We got somebody in Florida listening. That's who you are.
Yeah.
What exactly? Can you give us a kind of like the quick version of what happened? I know you were at your computer, right?
I was, yeah. And it was in the fall of 2013. I distinctly remember it was on a Wednesday night. And that night I was on the computer, and I remember looking down at the lower right-hand corner of the monitor. It said 9:15 p.m. Then all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm waking up kind of like in a daze, wondering where I'm at. And I'm looking around the room. I look over at the alarm clock, and it said 2:57 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I must have just went out all that time. And all of a sudden, as I'm regaining my composure, I feel a intense burning sensation on my right forearm. And I look down. I know this is bizarre. Nobody's going to believe me. I wouldn't believe it myself if I didn't experience it. There was a tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the tattoo right here.
Wow.
That is a tattoo that you claim you woke up with, and that was put on your arm by extraterrestrials. Is that right?
That's right. I mean, that's the only explanation I can come up with. I wasn't drinking that night. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I didn't go anywhere. I was waking up in the same chair that I sat in before.
Right.
And and it didn't heal like a conventional tattoo. A conventional tattoo will scab up like a scrape or an abrasion and heal within 7 to 10 days. This one here just bubbled up like a blister. And when it peeled like a sunburn, and it healed within 3 days.
Well, it's interesting. You had somebody that's familiar with tattoos, a tattoo expert, look at your tattoo to see if he could recognize the way it was put on there, and he had some difficulty with it, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I did a WBSM radio segment, and there was a tattoo expert on there that was going by a picture, but he said it didn't look like a normal tattoo would look. So that tells me, it must have been a different type of procedure, maybe with a laser or something, rather than the conventional needle, electronic needle.
All right, so people are asking questions, making comments. We want people to be polite, but you've heard this before. People are like, hey, what drugs is this guy taking?
Well,
what's this guy smoking? That kind of thing.
I'm used to that.
Don't you have something that you were smoking? Like, what is that right there?
That's a blunt, to put it bluntly.
That's a blunt.
No, that's a cigar.
Hey, Chops, do you know what he's talking about? I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, where's the blood? Me, I'm Stevie Wonder, man.
That's gonna be some good stuff there. So you really believe that you were, that time that was lagging in between, you believe that you were abducted by the aliens and they put this tattoo on your arm. But since then, you further claim now that you have had some telepathic contact with extraterrestrials. Tell me about that, because this is really stunning stuff here.
Yeah, I have. One thing, like I've mentioned before, is I have an ability to energetically heal. And I mean, there's people that I've worked with. I don't charge anything for that. It's nothing about making money or anything like that. And there's been plenty of people that I've helped in the past that can attest to that.
Well, I hope so, because I'm still dealing with this bad back. So after the show, well, we'll meet up and help me out, right?
No, I told you, whenever you're ready, Paul, you got some time, let me know. And
So
we'll
far, the
do a set.
chiropractors and these people down here don't know what the hell they're doing. You know what I mean? So I'm going to the out of space people.
Well, not only that, you got to pay them guys.
Hey, someone in the audience saw you with that, and they went, "Hey, light it up, man! Light it up! There you go, light that baby! Blaze that sucker, baby! Blaze that sucker!" Now, the other thing is, you claim that the aliens are going to be landing soon, right? Sometime
Yeah.
soon in the United States, in Florida. Tell me about that.
Yeah, the first public open UFO landing regarding full disclosure of the reality that they do exist will take place at Bach Towers in Florida.
Right. And how do you know that they're going to land at Bach Towers in Florida?
Well, I get information from them telepathically since my abduction.
All right. Can you ask them if they can land at Fort Rodman right down the street from South?
Well, I could put in a request, but I can't guarantee anything.
I think if those aliens landed at Fort Rodman, and Chops, I don't know, could lay a little, lay a little Frank Sinatra on him or something, I think we have it.
Well, wasn't Chops saying that he had a little experience of his own one time?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell me about that, Chops. I never heard you talk about that before.
Hey, I never talk about it because people think it's crazy, but they don't really. In the Bible, it states that too. Ezekiel saw him some 5,000 years ago, and I saw it in Fall River. I took my sons and my daughters. They thought it was crazy, but when they saw him themselves, they knew I was really it was really real.
So you were going over the Braga Bridge and you saw what you thought was a spaceship or something?
I'm always looking up. So there are things in the sky. Most people are looking down. So when you look up, you see strange things. But I kind of knew. I was always looking at UFO stories and reading documentaries on UFOs and stuff like that. So when I saw this thing, I said, it looked like a star, but this thing was actually moving, and I saw him come out of the sky. And I went over there, where Jim, where the Seaconk is. I went and pulled in that lot where the old Ramada Inn used to be. This thing comes out of the sky. It looked like it didn't make any noise. It looked like something out of Star Wars. It really did. And we were kind of a little frightened from it, so we actually kind of took off. And I was telling the guy, look at that, look at, see it? And he didn't hardly look up, but we saw it. It was real. It was authentic. It was real.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
see
it's interesting because you haven't mentioned that before, and a lot of people have had experiences and they don't talk about it because they always think, if I tell somebody that story, they're going to think I'm crazy or something. So is that what you were thinking too?
Well,
I myself thought that for I didn't come out to what was it, 2015 or 2016, and that happened in the fall of 2013. So
Jim, what is it like when you're telling this story and people are looking at you and they're going like, yeah, okay, all right, I got you, and then they leave the room and they go, oh, okay. Doesn't that make you feel bad, like, or not really?
No, it doesn't make me feel bad at all. I mean, I know what I experienced,
right.
and I can convey it to somebody. They can do what they want with it. They can believe it. They can think I'm nuts. And that's up to them.
Right.
All right.
I mean, I know what happened, so I'm not worried about it.
Well, Lake Havasu, California is checking in, so hello to California. We're talking about the aliens landing and stuff like that, and I got to tell you, now would be a good time to land because I think the human race needs some help here. So are they coming down to like help us, or are they coming down to be like, oh no, they're going to try to take over the planet or something?
Well, my belief is they're going to intervene to save man from man himself.
Well, that's there was an episode of even of the original Star Trek on that theme that eventually man's sort of the power to destroy is going faster than man's ability to handle it, kind of thing. And it is true. Like it seems like between the weaponization that we have and the ability to do so much with just a laptop or whatever, it seems to me that eventually somebody's going to do something, right?
And the way the world current events are at this particular time, that makes you wonder even more, right?
Right.
Yeah, right. Now you have is it a web channel called Alien something or other?
I have I have a Facebook page. It's called the Alien Connection Truth Network, and there's about 127,000 members.
Right. Wow. And I remember the first time I interviewed you on my old show, New Bedford Connections, we put it on YouTube. So anybody who wants to see that, it's on my Paul Santos Live YouTube page. And a lot of the people across the country watched it, and they chimed in about how they had similar experiences and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of big stories, like the Benny Hill story of the people in New Hampshire, and stuff like that, right?
Bonnie and Betty Hill. I believe that to be a true story. It's no way a fake story, because that happened on September 19th, 1961. By the way, coincidentally.
Yeah, I remember that story.
Coincidentally,
well, we're getting some interesting comments. We're getting some interesting comments in the margins here. Some people are saying that we're all high. Somebody else had. Let me see. Bless you all. Somebody said, "Hey, on to the next blunt." Anyway, but again, that coming on, that people are just not going to believe it. So what can you do? Like, I think that part of, you can say, I'm telling a story, believe it or not, but there must be some part of you that's like, I want to convince people, right? I want to persuade them that this really happened. So what do you say?
No, I don't have to convince anybody. I mean, they can believe what they want. I'm not here to jam anything down anybody's throat. I will say this. This is 305 menthol cigars. It's not a blunt. What I get high on is life itself.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm glad you straightened that out.
This here's a cigar. See the filter?
Yeah, the cigar is right.
Yeah, but you could have pulled that out from somewhere else and just, pretend.
Anything is possible, even that alien landing at Bach Towers.
That's right.
Well, if that landing happens at Bach Towers, I could be like, hey, I know exactly what's going on, But I do, it's interesting because people would say, right, if this is totally legit about the aliens coming and making contact with humans and so forth, why is it that they always land out in the middle of nowhere where you have a couple of farmers that are like, hey, what's that up there? They never land like in New York City, How come they don't land in New York or Los Angeles and say, hey, hello, we're here, kind of thing?
Well, that's why the first one will be at Bach Towers, the first open public UFO landing.
Yeah, right.
Now, what was I going to say?
Well, while you're thinking about that, I still think it'd be a good idea, like, if they could, like, right at the bottom of Route 18 there, be a good spot. About Battleship Cove, right behind the Braga. Just land right there, it'd be great.
Well, it'll be to a simultaneous landing. At the same time they land at Bach Towers, there'll be another massive landing at the White House.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be. Will President Trump still be there?
President Trump is aware of the alien.
All right. We don't want President Trump to say the wrong thing to the aliens.
He's already working with the aliens.
Oh, he is. He's working with the aliens. Well, that could be. All right. Let me see. Somebody in the outside column here is saying that a lot of people, one of them says thousands of us saw a UFO in the 60s, and I don't know. There are definitely people out there that have had this experience. So you and other people that have had these experiences, you have contact with each other a lot, speak to each other all the time, and exchange stories about what happened with each other. So, you must feel a connection with other people like that, right?
Well, I do. Yeah, I mentioned earlier a good friend of mine. His name is Jim as well. When he first met me on Facebook, he thought I was a crackpot until he got validation of what I was where I was coming from. I don't want to say too much about it, but it'd be nice if you, Paul, maybe someday invite him on as a guest, and he can attest to all this. I mean, I can say what I
Yeah, no,
want.
absolutely. I'd love to do that. And then
Yeah.
after the landing at Bach Towers, right? Can you hook me up with an interview with one of the aliens and stuff?
Yeah, if they're willing to communicate with you psychically, telepathically.
Somebody
Yeah,
said,
they
"How
don't
come this
speak.
guy?" Somebody said,
They
"How
don't
come this
speak.
guy isn't on Geraldo?"
They don't speak the English language.
That's right.
Yeah, right. So how do you communicate with them? They can't listen to our language and learn how to communicate with us through our language.
Well, I'm sure they could if they wanted to, but I mean, in order to communicate with you, they do it telepathically. It's just something that that's like a download that you receive.
So do
In
you
other
get these
words,
messages
in other
while
words,
you're
you can hear it
sleeping,
in
or how
your
does it
mind.
work?
You can hear it in your mind. They're not really saying anything, but you're telepathically picking it up. You can hear it and understand it in your language so that you can communicate with them. That's how they communicate.
Now, are they sending these messages while you're sleeping, or are you awake, or how exactly do they get the messages to you?
Well, I can get it in a dream form. When it's vivid enough, it sticks with me. It's something that I don't forget. And I do meditate.
All right, the specifics of Bach Tower. Like a lot of times people get messages and it's like, all right, they're telling me that they're coming and stuff like that. But to
Yeah,
say where it's going to be, that usually doesn't happen. How did this happen where it was communicated to you there was going to be Bach Tower?
through telepathic. I get what I refer to as telepathic downloads.
Okay.
Um,
And it was
there's,
communicated to you there
now
was going to be Bach Tower.
there's been other people that channel UFOs. They go somewhere, they sit down, they meditate, and then the UFOs will start flying above them. There's different ways of doing it. You guys still there? Oh, I think I lost him.
Hey.
Oh, you must have froze up. I can hear you now.
All right, there he is.
Yeah,
Are you
I'm
there?
here. You guys disappeared there for a while. I thought you got abducted there for a minute.
Oh, wait a minute.
I think it took a little bit longer than that.
I thought it was all over. I thought it was all over there for a second. I thought we all bought the farm. Oh, all right. Hello from Brockton. Hello from Brockton tonight. Okay. Let's see. The guy in the middle is on mushrooms, somebody said. Well, oh, I'm glad to see that you have a sense of humor because we like to joke around on this show, as you know, but we did want to get an opportunity for you to tell your story. What do you think, as far as you have this experience and other people have this experience? How unique is that for you? Because you're definitely in a small percentage of people that have this experience.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a tough position, really. I mean, with the remarks that you get and scorn sometimes, but
right.
I let that roll off. I let that roll off my back. I don't let that deter me in any way.
Well, the thing is, if your prediction comes true, you're going to have like a real good "I told you so" moment,
Amen to that. Yeah.
Well, Jim, this has been a lot of fun. I do want you to get me in contact with that gentleman that you talked about before. because
All
this is
right.
an interesting topic, and a lot of people have had these experiences, and anybody that wants to tell their story will certainly present it. People can listen to it and decide for themselves what they think.
Yeah, and if you want to do some sessions, let me know whenever you're ready.
Yeah, yeah. This back is a little cranky over here. I want to see.
And then you yourself can do a testimonial. How's that?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. If it works, I've had this for a long time. I'd love to get rid of it.
All right.
All right, Jim. Hey, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, nice to meet you, Jim.
All right. Good night.
You too, Jim.
All right, Jim Andre, who claims he was abducted by aliens. So what'd you think about that topic, Chops? That was interesting, huh?
I've heard many stories. I read books on that, and people had different sightings and different abductions, and saw it, and it had landed. I mean, this is really what he's saying has a lot of truth to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking people in the audience. I don't know if anybody out there can say that this happened to them. We got people in California, Brockton, let's see, Los Angeles, all over the place here. A lot of people are saying this is a bunch of BS. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in our final few moments. And do you know anybody that has a story like Jim's?
I haven't met. This is my first time ever meeting someone who said he's been abducted. Yeah. But I've met people who said they have saw him, but not abducted.
Yeah, right. Well, this is like a real
abductee. Abductee. First time.
Well, didn't you say before I saw you step away, and I'm thinking, what happened to Chops? And I'm like, I think he got abducted by his wife.
I was outside. I tell you, my friend's coming up with that new song. Am I tell you?
No.
Yeah, my friend. I was home the other night, and I got a call like 11:30 to come to the recording studio to record a hook on the song. And he said, I got an idea, Chops. I need you in Worcester right now. I said, man, I don't know, man. I'm tired. He said, Chops, I got a hit song. You got to come. So he said, I'll pay you $200. I said, okay, I'll be right up.
All right. So that's.
So I went up there, man. And the song was unbelievable, man. They didn't have a what they call a hook line, and then him and I put our musical talents together, and we came up with a hook called "Enough Is Enough," and it talks about Black Lives Matter, and it's really a phenomenal song. It's got a great message to it, and he just came by a few minutes ago and played it for us because he was in Providence. He came all the way. He lives in Worcester, up here for me to hear it. So they're going to do a big video on it, and they're going to come up with the song. So I think it's really, really hot.
All right. If you have a chance, depending on the situation, they'll let you perform it. Like once it gets.
Oh yeah.
Because maybe you can perform it in one of our shows down the road.
No problem.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, sometimes a song kind of.
I'm gonna let you hear it too. I'll let you hear it.
Yeah, right. That'd be great. I'd love to hear it. Sometimes a song just comes to you, especially at this particular moment in time.
And you got to be ready at all times. The old wise man told me, he says, Chops, stay ready, then you won't have to get ready. So when someone calls me like that and telling me to come to the studio like 11:30, 12 o'clock in the morning, I'm going, man, because you never know when the opportunity, that could be the right opportunity for you.
You never know. Absolutely.
You never know, man. And this guy's from Zimbabwe, from Africa. Okay. And he's a hip hop writer and a great writer, man. And he puts beats together. He's really great.
Right.
His name is DJ Q.
All right. Yeah, I was a DJ back in the day,
Yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying?
way back there, like Rick James and
Oh yeah, Rick James. Oh yeah.
Like stuff like that.
80s, man.
Run DMC and all this stuff, in the club.
Run DMC. Oh yeah.
It was hot.
It was hot. Drop it like it's hot.
Hey, well, next week we're going to be back in the studio.
That's going to be great, man. I can't wait to be back.
So that's going to be good because there's a lot of stuff that we can do in the studio.
That's how we can interact.
And actually, I wanted to talk to Jim. This guy, He's in Florida, you know.
Uh-huh.
So that way we could get him remotely. By the way, I'm gonna let you go because I know your wife was gonna be abducting you pretty soon.
No, she went to the casino.
Oh, she did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm babysitting now.
So what would you rather do? Would you rather get abducted by the aliens or by your wife?
She got abducted by the casino.
Wait a minute. No, if she goes to the casino, doesn't she have to have money? Doesn't she have to have money to gamble with and stuff?
Yeah, I'm glad she didn't ask me for that. Thanks.
She didn't say, "Hey, Chuck, why don't you slip me some greenbacks over here?"
No, I got no greenback. My grandson said, "Oh, that was nice."
Maybe she'll hit the big one over there.
I'm telling you, I think she went with my daughter. My daughter must got the money.
Or maybe she'll hit the jackpot.
Yeah, she might hit it.
The only thing is, if she hits the jackpot, maybe she won't come back. That's the only problem. That's good. That's good. And hopefully, you'll be back in the, doing gigs pretty soon because once they reopen, I know that's your business. I'd love to see you back doing the thing,
man. Well, I like doing the virtual thing. It's taught me a lot.
Next week, Chops. Next week, we're gonna have the. Yeah. No. Right. No. I know. I see you doing that
again.
I did want to mention to you next week. Fitz Lamar is going to be back next week, and we also have a performer, Jackie Santos.
Fitz,
when Fitz Lamar was on the last time.
Yeah.
It was one of the more interesting programs that we did, and one of the most popular in terms of
You look like you're sleeping, man. Look like he's sleeping. Hello. Hello. Hello, is it me you're looking for? I can see it in your eyes. You there, man? Paul. He's been Paul, you been abducted?
Can you hear me now?
Hey, you didn't see your face, man. You were like,
I was frozen. I was frozen in shock.
I said they got him.
You know what I think? I think Jim Andre did that, and he was trying to get me out of here.
They got you.
Somebody said in the column he got abducted too, and he's on mushrooms too. That guy's on mushrooms too.
He said he got mushrooms.
Oh man, I think my internet. Okay, I'm gotta tell you. Looks like my internet is. We're having some trouble with the internet. I think the aliens. Hey, those guys. I think the aliens are saying those guys are making fun of us down there. I'm gonna fix them.
Oh man!
Oh, by the way, and Chops has a show every Sunday night. By the way, so check that out on Chops Turner channel. And by the way, you did a Tavar song too last night.
Oh yeah, that's a great song, man.
And you were shooting out a shout out to the Tavar brothers.
Yeah, Tiny. Tiny Tavar.
Yeah, so that was good. That was good. All right, well, thank you for being with us tonight, Chops. This whole thing with the UFOs, this has got us all a little loopy over here,
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you. We'll look forward to seeing you in the studio next week.
Okay, that's going to be great, Paul. Thanks a lot for having me.
All right, for Jim Andre, our guest tonight, and of course, Chops Turner, I'm Paul Santos. Thanks a lot. We'll see you next Monday night right here. Have a great night, everybody.